There once were four pirates named Bradley, Willard, Joe, and Tyler. They had fame, power, and podcasts beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung them from the gallows, these were the final words they said. Our good takes are yours for the taking, but you'll have to listen to them first. We left everything we own and rode Poneglyph. Ever since, listeners from all over the world tune in to the Grand Line, listening to Road Poneglyph, the podcast that would make their dreams come true.
We're live with the Road Poneglyph podcast, formerly known as the Dream In Don't Give It a Bradley cast.
Road Poneglyph.
Formerly known...
It's more like Road Poneglyph, subtitle, Don't Give It Up Bradley.
The artist formerly known as Don't Give It Up Bradley.
Formerly known as the Roundabout cast, late slot, where we would always add another hour and a half to each Roundabout cast.
This is the Jay Leno slot.
Welcome to Late Night with the boys.
Late night Roundabout cast.
It's gonna be low energy. My voice is kind of recovering from an intense week of karaoke.
Yeah.
Or not a week of karaoke. I wouldn't have a voice ever if I did a whole week.
Willer and I and some others did big karaoke's, and I think everyone's kind of recovering.
Yeah.
I didn't do karaoke. I was too busy having to work for my money.
Woo.
Excuse me? Anyways.
Well, I work on the weekends. That's what I'm saying.
That's what you said.
Oh, yeah.
So I might be... you might hear me chewing on like a throat thing. So, please don't mind my clickety-clacks coming from my mouth. We're very professional here at the Roundabout Cast. Bradley, what are we talking about right now?
As usual, I feel like I say this almost every week. We got a big one this week. Because every volume in One Piece is a big one.
It's true. That's the secret.
This is volume 36 this week, starting with chapter 337. This volume is titled The Ninth Justice. And for about 90% of the volume, I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? But we eventually get there.
We also have this cover story here, finally getting to a point of relevance.
Yeah, the Gedatsu cover story where he wants to be the boss of the Blue Sea. He shows up in Alabasta.
Heyo.
This is the point where I was like, oh, maybe this cover story will be important.
We see Koza right here.
Yeah, it's really cool. It feels like so long ago that we were in Alabasta.
Indeed.
It was a long time ago.
I guess it was.
It was like 200 chapters ago.
So this volume, chapter 337, starts off where we left last week, where Luffy and Franky are doing their big battle, which is kind of wrecking the whole shipbuilding company. So the shipwrights come out and kind of kick ass.
They do.
This is just a really cool fight. We get to see Franky do a lot of really cool stuff, like his gun arms.
Yeah, Franky's moveset, as it were, is really fun.
Yeah, and we get to see more of the Galila doing their thing.
You got this panel of Rob Lucci, who's totally a nondescript shipwright man, doing this super intense zoom in, like speed line attack. It just looks great.
And even then, like, the most intense thing about this entire fight isn't even the moves that people are doing against each other. The most intense part of it is when one of the shipwrights lets out the info that it was apparently Robin who was there the night before who shot Iceberg.
It was Polly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this, immediately puts Luffy into a rage because, to him, like, they're obviously lying, right? Robin wouldn't do that.
Right.
So he's just like, stop telling lies about her. And we turn the page after Luffy and that I was about to make a rhyme. We see that we turn the page after Luffy in the rage.
Do it though. Do the rhyme.
It's already done. And we see our first glimpse of Robin in quite a few chapters where she's like reading her newspaper and she looks down at them. And this whole page is really cool. I really like the top where Polly is just like, we're gonna kill the whole lot of you, because despite how much catastrophe we've seen in One Piece, hearing someone just state that kind of thing outright still feels really jarring. So I'm like, oh god, they're really not playing around.
They aren't. And Robin totally has the face of a woman who's completely innocent, totally.
Yeah, she like they're saying, like, the Straw Hats are now public enemy #1 on this entire island nation, and she's just like, oh. So I don't know. There's been this volume plays with my emotions a lot.
You get that.
So the chapter 338 cover story is very nice.
Big twists.
The guy that Gadatsu has been traveling with turns out to be Koza's uncle.
So it would be Toto's brother, yeah. And they talked about this guy, right? He used to, I believe so.
Yeah, they did. I believe he would look for the water in the oasis and whatnot.
Well, Toto would, but I also remember them talk. Like, I remember his brother getting brought up during that flashback.
Yeah. And man, so the start of this next chapter 338 was really nice because, you know, the Aqua Laguna, the giant tide is coming in, and Sanji and Chopper are like, oh my god, the Aqua Laguna is getting closer and closer. You know, the town's gonna be flooded. Weird and they're yelling at it. But I mean, obviously they're not yelling it for each other. They peek back at Usopp to make sure he heard, and I just really like that, you know, they obviously still love this guy. He's still one of them as far as they're concerned.
Man, Usopp's great. Because he's, like, it's just a kind of a weird thought to think about, not Usopp, I meant Sanji. It's a weird thought to think that Sanji would go back and do this for Usopp, but at the same time, it's really cool that we actually have that, because Luffy is aloof and really doesn't really think a lot about things in terms of long plan and long term. And then Zoro, who is very independent. So Sanji's kind of like this good male character that's able to try to keep everyone together.
Yeah.
Of
course, Chopper's down for this. He's like the most heartbroken.
Yeah. But Chopper is also kind of like almost like the kid of the crew.
Yeah.
So he can't think big plans other than medicine and some other things. But yeah.
So I don't know. I just thought that was a really fun start to the chapter, and it's good to see my boys all still loving each other, even though things are strained.
More or less.
We cut back to the fighting pretty soon after that, and man, Franky does this like air cannon blast, which like just the activation method for it looks really cool, where he has like this pipe and he wraps his arms around it.
Yeah, the CUDA vent is so cool, man.
Yeah, I did not expect it to do the amount of damage it did. That is insane.
I like how they get to this little table just so they can flip it.
Yeah.
In anger. Franky and the Square Sisters are so entertaining. I think the Square Sisters are a underappreciated part of what makes Franky so funny, because they're always posing and doing like the goofy stuff that he does.
In any case, shortly after that, Luffy kind of evacuates himself and Nami, and then a Franky with a floppy hair leaves soon after, and I was like, why is this hair so floppy? We find out in the next chapter, but I thought it was cool.
He's deflated.
Karoo.
Yeah, we get to see Karoo in the cover story for chapter 339, which I miss my boy.
I love Karoo. He's a Straw Hat.
He should have been a regular. This SBS question corner was really funny because someone was asking a question about Hercules beetles, and Oda went on this whole thing where he's like, kids don't know how good they have it nowadays, where like back in my day we could only just look at pictures of Hercules beetles, but now there's places where you can actually go look at actual real Hercules beetles in person. And like apparently like Japanese people just love beetles, and I don't know, I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's just a cultural thing that Japanese people really love bugs.
Yeah, no, like Japanese people who were kids pre-2000 are super into Hercules beetles. Araki has a whole arc about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, there's an arc about Hercules beetles later and JoJo's, and I was reading both of them at the same time, and I got to this SBS corner as soon as I got to that arc in JoJo's.
And let's not forget that Zelda and Pokemon were both born from like the children just exploring caves and looking for bugs and shit.
Yeah, and even like all those old Japanese superheroes like Kamen Rider and stuff, they're all based on bugs.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they all got like bugs.
Beetleborgs.
So yeah, I don't know. Japanese people fucking love beetles.
You heard it here first.
But we go into chapter 339. Luffy, in light of some big accusations against Robin, he's just gonna go straight to the scene of the crime. He wants to go talk to Iceberg.
Okay, I'm off.
Okay, I'm off. What?
Yeah. Nami's kind of like, oh, we need to be careful. When we see an opening, you can go in. He's like, oh, okay, here I go. And I thought it was really cool that, Iceberg actually kind of wanted to oblige Luffy and talk to him.
Yeah.
And man, this is where things start getting really tense. Because he lets Luffy in because he's like, Luffy, I want you to, I want you to let me see Robin again. And this is where Luffy hears from Iceberg himself that Iceberg had saw Robin. And this probably hit Luffy a lot more than just hearing it from the shipwrights, because in a very short amount of time, I think Luffy became pretty good friends with Iceberg.
Yeah.
And if Luffy's friends with you, that has a lot of implications for whether he's probably going to believe you or not.
And I mean, he looks angry here, but like, you feel like he's a little bit shaken. It's hard to say with Luffy, you know.
This panel where Luffy is just going, I don't believe it. I think this is a really good way. I think this is good word choice because it can be interpreted a few different ways, where it could be that Luffy actually does not believe that Robin did it, but it could also be that he does believe she did it, but he's just like incredulous, like, oh, I can't believe she did that.
It sounds incredulous because it's not like he's saying he lied. The word choice is deliberately, I don't believe it, not Iceberg lied, which is interesting.
So it's Luffy's probably also going through a lot of emotions.
This plot thread of Iceberg and Robin is worth keeping because we get to find out why he's so fixated on her later.
Oh yeah. Then we cut to the bar where Franky tops him up on cola, and I guess he needs the cola to keep that hair going.
So I like this page where they're posing with S's. You just know that there's going to be an SBS where the SBS is them posing. Like, you just know. Like, they're making S's with their hands already. They're just missing the B.
Yeah.
And there's some kind of talk around the bar. People are saying things about shady figures in the world government and CP9. And
the very friendly barkeep Bueno is just chilling, just being a barkeep.
Nondescript barkeep. And it's funny because this page where they're talking about CP9, I had put down a sticky note that said, man, maybe Robin really did do it. And then I turned to the page and we get literal confirmation that he did do it.
So now the cat's out of the bag. We left off last volume with Bradley trying to reconcile how it couldn't possibly be Robin, but maybe it could. But now we know.
Yeah. I was throwing out like all these ways where maybe it possibly could not have been Robin.
Maybe
and I think
it was another dark-haired lady, which Tear Mask shoutouts like made fun of that.
Yeah, he was like the struggle here.
So, what's interesting about this bar scene is that Franky knows the old hag.
Yeah. Yeah, now that you know, like, how far did you get? Did you read both volumes?
I got to the end of 36 this week.
Okay, so just this volume. So, yeah, so Franky is very in the know with all the locals. He's willing to give them money to party, which goes to show you, like, we've mentioned before how he's so bad with money, to where it's like, oh, we finally managed to get 400,000 at once, so it doesn't mean I'll spend through it, so we can do whatever with it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely a local figure.
Yeah. This next chapter, 340, kind of opens up with Luffy returns to Nami, but also the town is kind of more preparing for the Aqua Laguna. People are starting to evacuate. There's still the search for the Straw Hats, and I think Zoro becomes aware that they're on the hunt for him too.
It's like, what the hell's all this?
Like, everyone shows up to the merry-go looking for the Straw Hats, and I don't know, Usopp's just by himself, and he has to be like, who are these people?
I'm glad for once Usopp didn't get the shit beat out of him this arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third time's the charm.
So one thing I thought was really interesting is Sanji and Chopper are kind of having this conversation because they've both encountered Robin, because Robin was with Chopper and then Sanji saw her.
Yeah.
And so they're on the search for her, and they bring up the possibility of, what if she ran away? What if she got on a train? And
I like how, before you get going, I like how Chopper blames himself and Sanji is reassuring to him.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
A lot of Chopper Sanji bonding, which is cool.
Yeah, it's not a pair we get to see every day.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that they bring up the possibility that maybe she left, maybe she went away on a sea train, and it's just kind of a matter of fact that they're saying, like, we would have to go look for her on all these other islands to find her. Like,
yeah,
they clearly wouldn't give up on her. They would go to try to find her.
It's not even a question for them, especially in light of Usopp having to leave the crew. The tensions around keeping the family together are real right now.
Yeah, they really don't want to lose another person right now.
Yeah.
That being said, we turn the page, and Robin says, "I won't be going back to the crew." And man, this is intense, because as we go through this volume, this betrayal by Robin feels even more powerful than I ever thought it would have been, because she seems, at least right now, fairly unrepentant about what she has done.
Yeah, it's we've talked about a little bit about how Oda likes to do echoes of previous plot threads but put them in a different context. So this is giving you echoes of when Nami had to leave the crew for reasons we couldn't understand. But here Robin, she murdered someone, allegedly, or tried to. She attempted to murder someone. She's leaving coldly, and she is just breaking the hearts of Chopper and Sanji here.
Yeah, and I like that. I didn't think about it in terms of an echo, but it really is like a mega Nami situation.
Yeah.
Because whenever Nami had first left back then, I was like, this is a betrayal. But I still believed that, they would go after her, and she would have her change of heart. And with Robin, I can't know that for certain.
It's a lot darker of a situation this time.
Yeah, it's a much darker situation. So I don't know. I hope everything turns out all right.
I very much like this line of, I didn't deserve it, but thank you for the kindness you've shown me. This is the only nice thing Robin has said in the whole arc, pretty much. She's been so cold. This is the one, nice way she can say goodbye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's nice to kind of get confirmation that she really did enjoy her times with the Straw Hats, but I guess she just has other allegiances.
Also, I just want to point out that it's only been less than a few days maybe since Usopp said he was leaving too. So this is compounding on that kind of we're losing 2 crew members at once, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's just piling on the bad things that are happening.
Yeah,
tensions were high.
I love Sanji diving in for her, but I really like when he's like, Chopper, go meet up with Luffy and tell them everything that just happened. Don't leave out a single thing. I think that's interesting because Sanji just showed a really not masculine side of himself, I guess, jumping after her like this and kind of making a fool out of himself.
I think one of the big points about this was the part where I realized I really like Sanji in this arc. This arc has a whole bunch of reorientate my entire character list afterwards. This is a moment when I really like Sanji because he's not like during this interaction with Robin, he's not having that whole goo eyes effect at all. Like
Robin Schwan, don't leave me.
Yeah, he's 100% serious, and this is like beyond any of that kind of like boyish kind of crush that he has with the females on board the ship. It's more of like, you're a part of the crew. Where are you going? What are you doing? Kind of deal. Yeah. Like it's a legitimate like worry and urgency to him.
Yeah, Sanji has really been jumping up my character rankings this arc. Since the beginning of Water 7.
Man, all the Straw Hats are so great. They just are in a whirlpool of being the best one.
We've really seen, especially back during the Luffy Usopp arguments, that Sanji really does have that more mature side to himself, and he knows when to be serious. Like, he really does have those boyish crushes on Nami and Robin, but I mean, those kind of feel like a character, you know?
Yeah,
deep down, he really
is the man,
you know.
Wait, what, Joe? What was that?
I said it's not hard. It's hard not to be attracted to both of them,
I guess.
So it's just like Sanji just doesn't really care about showing that attraction, but he also has that understanding of like, oh, I have to be serious. Like, I can't just goof around.
Go on, sorry.
But it's just nice to see him having this like side of him and like actually like solidifying that like he can be a serious character around females and it's not always a joke.
Yeah,
basically.
I love how Chopper finds Luffy, like, which is poking his head down very funny. But then I also I really like Zoro's declaration here. Zoro's been fantastic this arc as well, where he lays down the situation. He's like, all right, we need to conclusively like iron this out. Is Robin an enemy or a friend?
Yeah, we're kind of cashing in on that mistrust and all those beats between Zoro and Robin we've been talking about the past, I don't know, dozen volumes.
Six volumes or so, yeah.
Yeah, he never had complete trust in her like so many others did, and
he also never like really spoke about Robin either. Like he very rarely said anything about her or talked to her. Just more or less just like, I don't trust you kind of thing, and that's about it.
Yet he also was very mad when she was struck down during the Emperor fight. So we get to see this cautiousness that he's always had, but also she's been his friend. He's keeping his distance, but a Straw Hat's still his friend, and now he needs to know which one are you really.
I think this is awesome for him, like having this side, like, how do I want to approach this person from now on, moving forward.
That leads us into chapter 3.
We're not going to talk about Mr. 7. DS corner.
Yeah, I actually put a sticky note on that. I was going to talk about it.
For real?
We know that Zoro had been scouted for Baroque works by Mr. 7, but we never seen what he looked like. So somebody asked Oda, what does Mr. 7 look like? What's his deal? And Oda just drew a little guy with a 7 on his face, and he's like, join up, you.
What was Mr. 7 doing in the East Blue recruiting Zoro?
He was recruiting Zoro.
Alright.
Yeah, clearly. So, Chopper relays the message to Nami, Zoro, and Luffy, and they have some short debates on what it is they're going to do, but one thing is clear. They want to catch Robin.
Yeah.
At the very least, to try to understand what the fuck is going on. Maybe to get an explanation, or maybe just because there's a chance that she's an enemy now.
Yeah. I like Luffy's conclusive we go.
Yeah, he's very decisive about it.
Also quite like this group. Luffy, Chopper, Zoro, and Nami is a bit of a mix-up from our usual.
Yeah. And then we get a very... Man, Oda's just beating me down in this arc with Usopp, where we see him by himself trying to buy this stuff, and he doesn't have enough, and he can't carry it, and he's hungry, so the guy feeds him, and it's just torture what we're doing to Usopp here.
Oda says, fuck your feelings. And then Usopp hits us with don't worry, you'll be fine, you're a ship that's flown to the sky, don't you worry. And it's just really, I don't know, man. Aqua Laguna seems pretty serious.
The merry... we cut back to Blueno. This guy's name really Blueno.
No, it's Bluno.
Blueno.
Oh yeah, Blueno.
In any case, we go back to his bar, and what's going on here?
Franky's upset. He just destroyed half the counter.
Yeah, I guess that's why even the people in the bar are a little confused, like why he got so fucking mad so abruptly. So even here, I was like, oh god. He really wants to get the Straw Hats, though.
Yeah.
So as we're approaching sundown, I think everyone is kind of aware that there's going to be another attempt on Iceberg's life. So we're putting all of our chess pieces in place, and all the shipwrights are lining up in their defense formations.
Look at this hardcore ass defense. I just like how they know, like, they're so strong where they can just sit at the door and wait, and they'll be able to stop whoever comes.
Oh yeah. And then the next page,
Allegedly.
Iceberg's secretary finally asks, you know, because in the last volume we had talked about how a wanted poster for Robin is a very specific thing to have in your office.
Yeah.
And so she kind of asks about it, and we're going to learn more about it the rest of this volume, but he starts by saying, that is a demon. And at first I was like, okay, what? I think we later find out about something called the Demons of O'Hara.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that more when we get there.
I think also the other way of reading that line is demon is more of like a sin kind of thing, of like it's better if you don't know that is a demon, as in like if you know it's almost sinful kind of thing. It's like a demon to have to know that information.
I read it more like he's calling her a demon.
Yeah, I thought he was calling her a demon.
It says that is, which is a weird kind of phrasing of it. But
more like he's dehumanizing her by saying not she's a demon, that is a demon.
Yeah. So the chapter ends with the Straw Hats kind of in their lookout position, and we see a high heel clack from on high up above the scene.
Ooh.
And that just kind of feels like gunfire for me. All of our pieces are in place, and we're about to just get going.
lightning bolt.
This gag in the opening of next chapter with the Square Sisters having to walk back sideways, otherwise they would just tip over.
At the beginning of chapter 3, at the 42. Jesus, we're on 342.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, the Square Sisters, they have to walk to the side in headwinds because they would get blown over.
Oh, I didn't get that.
They're so funny.
I really liked it.
I love them.
So we're at the point where the Straw Hats are surveying the Galley Law Company because they want to get in and find Robin. And we know Robin and the people she's associated with are going to be attacking it in some way. Then we have the entire Galley Law Company here defending it. And then Franky's in the mix, and who knows what the fuck that guy's going to be doing.
Yeah.
So it's just like all of our chess pieces are here.
Man, Franky's weird.
And so we move up to Iceberg's kind of bedroom, and he calls Polly in. And man, it's really good that he called Polly in and not literally anybody else.
You did get to that, right? I've been
Yeah.
dropping all these. Okay, good. I mean, he could have called Tilestone and Lulu.
Yeah, I guess.
The odds were in his favor.
There's only two of them
I just
there.
think it's really nice that he kind of has a good read enough on these guys that, or I think it's nice that the one that he's going to feel closest to and have the most trust in was in fact a trustworthy person.
Yeah. Hey, how often in One Piece, sorry, as a quick distraction, does the climax of the arc take place at night? For some reason, that's really rare. It's usually daytimes where climaxes happen. The only other time I can think of is Whiskey Peak and Drum, right?
Yeah, I hadn't really been thinking about that.
I think it's just those two. Yeah, I think you're right, Willer.
Night just gives it a more sleazy feel, like, ugh, bad stuff is about to go down. So Oda has seemed to sparingly use the nighttime here for climaxes.
So we have Iceberg, who sent Polly on a little mission to find a safe where he finds some papers. We're going to find out about those later. Mm-hmm. And then we see a masked Robin with this teddy bear looking motherfucker.
I like how the man wears a whole bear mask, and he's like, Robin, you get the eye mask.
Yeah. I was really excited to see this guy because I saw all these people I didn't recognize on the cover, and I was like, oh, I guess they're going to be relevant. And then I got over halfway through the volume. I was like, where the fuck are these guys? And then they show up, and he basically says ready, and then you turn the page, and there's a big explosion that fucks up a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. You got this whip lady going crazy.
Yeah, these masked individuals, they begin their assault on the mansion, and they're very good at what they do. Two of these guys find Polly, and Robin and the bear mask guy find their way to Iceberg in the next chapter.
And Luffy's gone, so shit's popping off.
Chapter 343, Cipher Poll number 9.
It's time.
And this is where I was like, okay, CP9, we're gonna find out, what the hell's going on here.
Doom.
I mean, these CP9 guys are just wrecking everyone.
Yeah.
It's not even a contest.
And let's keep in mind that
I was gonna say they're on a whole new level than what we've seen this whole chapter.
Right, because the shipwrights were able to effortlessly fend off like multi tens of millions bounty pirates, like 30 to 50 mil. We saw it earlier in this city, and we can imagine if this is a shipbuilding city, they fight some pretty tough foes. But these guys are just one of them is effortlessly taking out multiple of them.
Mm-hmm. And also, Bear Guy's door fruit is really, really cool.
Okay, I want to talk about that. Because remember when Robin just disappeared?
Oh.
It struck me. She was with him, totally, because he's the one who walks by and is like, I'm with CP9.
Door.
But also, yeah, he just created a door for them to walk through, and that's also how they're infiltrating the mansion now.
Man, that is cool.
Yeah.
I like that. And, man, so this bear guy, I think I really like his action. He's very abrupt with stuff he does, where the last chapter, the very first panel that we met him, we turned the page and he's triggered this explosion on all these people.
Yeah.
And then here, he's talking to Iceberg at the end of one of these pages. He's like, oh, it's the power of the door fruit. I can get in and out of wherever I want. And then you turn the page and he's already shot Iceberg.
Yeah.
He wastes no time.
Shoot first, ask question later kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's very scary to have someone who acts so abruptly in shonen manga.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Kid Buu, where he was the scariest bad guy because he didn't talk. He just immediately blew up the earth. And so when you have someone who acts so abruptly in a shonen manga, it can be very scary. This guy, he's giving a very even-headed explanation of what he just did, and without warning, he just shoots Iceberg.
Yeah, I like how professional he feels, because this whole plan to get these documents and assassinate Iceberg and pin it all on the Straw Hats seems really feasible. And from what we've seen, it really seems like these are the kind of guys that could pull something like that off.
Yeah, and throughout this entire conversation, we're tearing down any hopes I had for Robin's innocence, where it's like, yeah, that was me. Yeah, I was here of my own free will. Yes, I wanted to do it. I had a motivation to do it. So
her only reservation this whole time is like, why did you shoot him? There hasn't been a signal yet. Just like, you could have shot him after the signal and I wouldn't have questioned it.
Yeah, this entire scene is just like, and obviously the scene continues later, but it really is showing that Robin was a willing participant in what she did, and she did have a motivation for it. So I'm interested to see how this is going to resolve for her, and how or if she's gonna resolve with the Straw Hats.
So this gag here in the next 2 pages after the whole bear stuff is hilarious, where they're like, all right, there's no way Luffy snuck in, so he totally thinned out the guards, right? Right, there's no way he didn't. Right, okay, let's go. They jump the fence, and just everyone is there unharmed.
Yeah, I thought this was really fun, because they're explaining their whole thought process where it's like, obviously Luffy would have done this, he would have jumped in there, and then, we know Luffy, he would have gone through the front door, and then everyone would be chasing him, and he'd be fighting them, and I'm like, yeah, Oda, has a really good read on the mindsets of his characters and what they would do. So, and I was like, the Straw Hats obviously have a good read on their teammate Luffy. So yeah, that's probably what Luffy did. And then I was like, well, actually, this is Oda, so it would be a fun gag if they were actually wrong here. And then you turn the page and Luffy's stuck in there.
I like how that gag had a Hunter x Hunter level of dialogue amount to set up for it. It was like, it's so excessive.
It was a lot of fun. Anyway,
Kaku and Lucci are dead.
Yeah, dead.
Dead.
They're about as dead as Jotaro being burned alive.
So we move on to chapter 344, Opposing Force, and Bear Guy does this iron body technique. I don't know what this is.
Don't worry, you will.
What I thought it was gonna be is I thought he was gonna swing this hammer and then he was gonna use his door fruit to make a hole in the hammer so it would pass through him or something. I don't know.
He tanked the hit. That's what he did.
Yeah. We see Zoro's fighting his way through with the backside of his sword. By the way, this is Rurouni Kenshin now.
Yes.
And Luffy finally gets out of his building spot. And then we get the big conversation between Iceberg and Robin. They have each other at gunpoint, and he's been wanting to meet her for a very long time. It's been clear, and we find out why. He's wanted to meet her so he could kill her before, as he says, she destroys the whole world. And I'm like, okay, fuck, this is bigger than I thought it would be. This is even bigger. We knew she was involved in some big shit, otherwise the government wouldn't have such a huge bounty for her head, but this is a whole nother level even.
And so the link here is he sees her as a link to these ancient weapons, and this nice Iceberg that we've met this arc has zero tolerance for any potential that she has a link to those weapons.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting where we think this whole, at least from when I was reading this, you think the whole time that Iceberg just wants to be Nico Robin for some reason. You're not really fully sure, and then you turn out he just wants to kill her as well. They're almost mutually on different sides for some reason.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting concept where we're introduced to this guy, and he just I'm gonna kill this bitch when I meet her. Also, I like that she's General Grievous seeing 4 pistols. I think that's neat.
Yeah, she looks so cool.
So, this whole thing, we've known about the Poneglyphs obviously since Alabasta.
Yes.
But we've had very few information about what's actually encoded in them, and we learned here that there's supposed to be information about these ancient weapons, maybe where they are or how they're activated, stuff like that. And Robin, being one of, if not the only people left who can decode these things, obviously has some very dangerous knowledge.
Now, a little correction. In Alabasta, Crocodile was the whole reason why he wanted to take over the country of Alabasta, aside from having a country of his own, was because Alabasta was supposed to have the Poneglyph with information of Pluton.
Ooh.
Which is the very weapon that Iceberg holds the blueprints of.
Man.
The plot thickens, boy. It's been setting up.
Crocodile, you were in the wrong spot, boy.
Crocodile, yeah, he was trying.
Yeah, and so Iceberg reveals I hold the blueprints for a weapon of the ancient world, the Pluton, which, for something that was kind of the whole point of the Alabasta arc from Crocodile's perspective, hearing this here is like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, you revealed what it actually is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a battleship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This.
Which I don't really know what I thought it would have been. I didn't think it was a battleship.
I didn't think so either. I thought I was like, oh, it's a bomb. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, it's probably a bomb that blows up an island.
Yeah. But a battleship is perfect in a One Piece world because the entire infrastructure is water.
Yeah.
So having something that can police that makes sense,
Joe and Bradley, how much do you know about the ancient weapons? Like, do we know? I'm trying to figure out if we've covered certain information.
We haven't covered the names of the other two yet.
Okay.
Well, we've heard the name of one other ancient weapon so far, but I can't remember what it is.
Okay.
We heard about it up in Skypiea.
We've heard there's 3 then. That's just what I was trying to remember.
I only knew there was 2.
Okay, cool.
But I've heard the names of those 2, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Moving on.
Anyway, we know there's a Pluton.
Yeah.
And we know what it is now.
And what's scarier is that so previously when to add to the escalation of this, Bradley, I don't know if you thought about this. When we were talking about Pluton before, we were just looking for it. We just knew it existed. Now we have the plans to make it, which gives the information that can be made multiple times.
Right. So the idea is there must be allegedly a deactivated Pluton somewhere. And maybe that's what Crocodile was looking for. But Iceberg has the fucking blueprints of the thing, which is a terrifying thought. Producing more than one of these ancient weapons sounds horrifying.
The government got a hang of this. I'm sure whichever party had the means to make these things would be borderline unstoppable.
Right.
Yeah, they would.
I assume someone's gonna make multiple of these. So.
Fuck man, I don't know. One Piece is like 3,000 chapters long.
I was like,
maybe we'll have a bunch of Star Destroyers with Death Star weapons on them.
No.
We also, for the first time, hear about this O'Hara incident from 20 years ago that Robin would have escaped from. And he says that she shared the ideas of the demons of O'Hara. And I feel like this has to be really important. I
Any
have
theories?
no clue what any of this means.
So,
20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
10 years, like there's these significant years that we keep coming back to from time and time again. For example, 20 years was when that last group of pirates, I believe it was confirmed Gold Roger's pirates crew was in Skypiea. I think there was something else that we've already covered that happened 20 years ago. Shit's popping off.
So their conversation kind of reaches a climax, and around that time, the other CP9 members discover that these blueprints that Polly went to fetch are in fact fake.
Got him.
Pranked ya.
I bet Joe wishes he was the one being straddled by Robin with a gun to his face.
Oh, I meant to mention that.
Yeah,
I will say though,
I got you covered.
Franky is the luckiest person in One Piece. Don't worry about it, though. Anyways, so Polly's dead.
No, he's
Well,
talking.
we go to chapter 345. Polly is bleeding, and Luffy is trying to come in through the wall. A short fight ensues with the CP9 members who subdue Luffy and Polly on the ground. And I think
they use another weird attack to try to kill him. If you've kept up, this is the 3rd weird attack they've done.
Weird attack.
Weird attacks.
Tempest kick.
Behold my weird attack.
I mean, he kicks Luffy.
But
Well,
it has a name to it.
No, he doesn't just kick Luffy. He's shooting out.
He pins him to the ground after it.
No, he's shooting out like a cross wave when he kicks Luffy.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Bull Guy. I was like, Bull Guy just kind of kicked Luffy.
You're right. That is his weird attack. Luffy kick.
Yeah. I mean, he kicked him. Luffy and Polly are on the ground. and I really kind of like their bonding moments where they just yell together like, "I'll fight with you."
Yeah, I really like Paulie, and as you'll recall, he was my. As I was reading, I said that he was like my favorite that I wanted to join. I really wanted Paulie to be the shipwright, and we'll see.
Yeah, out of these shipwrights, Polly's probably my favorite now too, because the rest of them are really mean people.
The rest of them mean.
We're gonna get to that. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
So Luffy and Polly have their fun bonding, yelling moment together, and the CP9 members are all up there now with Iceberg, and they begin taking off their masks. And man, like, I did not see these reveals coming, where pretty much all of Iceberg's closest comrades are in fact CP9 members.
And Bluno.
Yeah, you know.
He's just there.
Also, it's the guy from the bar. Okay.
Yeah. So Will and I mentioned this at the beginning of Water 7, how when you're reading, I think it's 34 and 35.
It's really awkward.
Yeah, it's really eerie. So something I really want to point out though, if you go back to those volumes, look at Kaku. If you look at Kaku, his eyes are always shaded in around the brims. Like, not only from his hat, but it gives this like sense of a mask that's on him as well.
Ooh, that's true.
Like
I just wanted to comment on when Bradley was like, "Kaku's my favorite. I hope he joins."
Yeah.
First of all, everyone thought the same. Second of all, I just love the fact that he was a vicious assassin murderer.
Friendship ended with Kaku.
Now
Kaku.
Paulie is my best friend. Rob Lucci looks so fucking cool. They all look cool here. Also, Lucci speaking for the first time. Like, even Paulie's like, "So you fucking talk?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Also,
serious.
You know now how he subdued those other two dudes? Was that Lucci used ventriloquism to lure them away, and then they went up behind them and killed them.
Ooh.
Fuck. What? Really? I never caught that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And Kaku goes like, really? He's not saying that really as in they're storming off and running away. He's saying really because, oh my god, that actually worked.
Oh, yeah! Oh my god, that's a good catch. Oh,
So-
wow.
Why does he like that? I'm like, oh, right.
That's great.
Yeah.
We move to chapter 346, and I like this cover story where Gadatsu has finally taken on the role of the Blue Sea boss, and it's very fun because this was his goal from the start of the cover story, was to be the Blue Sea boss, and I was like, I'm sure he's gonna be the boss of something.
Yeah.
And we see now that this big bathhouse spa thing that he's made with his new henchman, he's the boss of it.
He did it. He's the Blue Sea boss. He's the king of the fucking pirates. He rules these oceans.
King of the pirates.
Show Roger, go home.
Outside the mansion, Zoro has subdued an army of shipwrights, and Luffy has made it out of his restraints because he's a rubber man.
I'm out.
But shortly we get back to what we really care about, which
Yeah.
is the conversation with Iceberg. This chapter is called The Ninth Justice, which I was really glad because this whole volume I was like, what the fuck is the Ninth Justice? And so now we figured it out. Where there are also a CP 1 through 8, which are these government intelligence agencies, and I don't think CP 1 through 8 are very hidden knowledge, but CP 9 is. Iceberg didn't even know about CP 9.
Right. They're like, we know the CIA exists, but CP9 is the CIA that's like actually listening to our call right now.
CIA 2.
Yeah. And I really like how he says that they are allowed the ability to kill at will. They have a license to kill, and they can use it however they see fit, and that is enough to hide their existence.
Yeah, and this, from that page on, we get to a really compelling debate here between all these characters, and this is one of my favorite conversations in One Piece right now.
Oh, damn.
Where they are really debating on whether or not these weapons should be allowed to be used by the government. Because when you think about it, they both have very compelling points.
Right.
I do think, where the CP9, obviously they're trying to acquire the blueprints for the Pluton for the government, because in reality there are a lot of very dangerous pirate crews out there who are not as nice as the Straw Hats. And we've seen a lot of islands that are under the scourge of very powerful beings, not just pirates. You have Nami's home island that was enslaved by Arlong.
Which, I mean, is a pirate as well.
Yeah, you have, even though the true situation in Alabasta was a little hidden,
yeah.
I think maybe some Pluton action could have been used there.
I think a key point here is the idea that like they fully believe that if they resurrect this weapon, they could just end the age of piracy. Like, wow.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of these pirates are problematic, and it's like, yeah, maybe you could, but Iceberg is like, I'm not naive enough to believe that the government wouldn't also use these to cause problems. They're not gonna stop it at just stopping pirates, and
that's what makes this argument so good. I think they're both right.
Yeah, it's because Lucci's over here like, oh, you seem to mistrust the government, and he's like, I just know human nature, boy.
And then this argument ends as all good arguments end, with a massive kick to the jaw.
Yeah.
So this idea that Iceberg's whole plan to dissuade them and like trick them is fully foiled by the fact that they've been with them for 5 years, and they just know him well enough, and there's just crushing defeat that these people that grew so close to Iceberg, these people that we as the readers came in and they were like, they're so cool and badass, and I wish they would join the Straw Hats, how they had these masks on the whole time. They didn't show any of their true personality. Like, think of Khalifa as like that sexual harassment stick. Like, is that all a lie? You're just a massive murderer. Kaku's free spirit. Like, the idea that all of these character traits were fake and that they were hiding underneath like everyone's noses, and it's very disturbing.
Yeah, we literally have a moment where they take off the mask and reveal who they are. So, where are we at now?
Well, we get the big kick to the face, both literal and metaphorical. And, Iceberg made these fake plans, and it would have worked out pretty well if not for the fact that, he made these plans. So there's 3 names on these plans. There's Tom, there's Iceberg, and there's Cuddy Flam. These would be the 3 people who authored these plans. Tom being a much older shipwright master, Iceberg being Iceberg, and Cuddy Flam being a name we haven't seen up till now. However, these CP9 agents, having worked very closely with this company and with Iceberg for very many years, they do recognize this name. They've only heard it once, and it came from none other than Franky. Franky's actual name.
Dun dun dun.
Franky, I guess, would be actually in some way a master shipwright, or he's worked with them in some way. And I figured he had to be skilled at least a little bit to be able to take apart these ships and sell the parts to the company.
Also, he's a cyborg, so
Also, he's a cyborg, and I was kind of wondering if he was made or if he made those augmentations to himself. And whenever we first saw he was a cyborg, I was like, man, he's kind of like Mega Usopp. He has this wide variety of weapons that are just more powerful. So, anyway, this chapter does end after they make that deduction. Pretty much all the Straw Hats make their way to this room, and it's really fun. We get Luffy kicking in the wall, and we know that the start of the next volume is probably going to be insane. Everyone buy Toriko, by the way.
Yay!
Yeah.
So, whatever the next chapter is probably going to be fucking insane.
But we won't talk about it now.
Nope.
Well, that's as far as I read this week.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about some predictions.
Yeah.
Probably about Robin. So I want to talk about my prediction for Robin and my prediction for the future of the Straw Hat Gang. I have no doubt in my mind that, you know, they're going to reconcile with Usopp. He's going to come back. In fact, Usopp, I hope, is going to get a very heroic spotlight in resolving the fights of this arc, which will hopefully renew his confidence about his place on the Straw Hat team. I really hope the Merry-Go makes it through all this. it better. I think it would just make a lot of sense, being One Piece, that the Merry-Go makes it through all this. Robin, girl, Robin's in a place where I just don't know, because at the end of the last volume, I was at a part where it's like, well, you know, her allegiances are kind of up in the air, but she's probably just, you know, haunted by something in her past, and she'll get through it and come back to the Straw Hats. But I don't know. What if she does run off with these people? And I just don't know. So I'm interested to see where Robin goes. As for my prediction for future Straw Hat members, obviously Kaku is off the table now.
Well, Robin was a bad guy, and she joined.
Yeah.
I think my other big, I just don't think Kaku's gonna happen at all. I think I had settled on, we won't necessarily get a new member for this arc, but rather Usopp will kind of come on in a new role. I want to update my guess here.
Ooh.
And I didn't have this guess until the very last chapter there, where we get some more info about Franky.
Ooh.
Where we learn that he is almost certainly a, if not master, very talented shipwright, which is what the Straw Hats came here looking for. He has lost his home, and I think his character design is just too strong, honestly, to give up.
You can't just make Ace Ventura and then just let him go.
I'm kind of torn 50-50 between we won't get anyone, but if we do get someone new, it'll probably be Franky. I don't think we can give him up. He fulfills the role that we need, and he's really cool. So
what about flashbacks?
What?
Any updates on what flashbacks do you think are going to happen, if any?
I believe you said we were going to get an Iceberg and a Robin one.
He said a Robin flashback, if I remember correctly. Maybe.
Yeah,
he said Iceberg.
I bet we'll still get a Robin flashback at some point.
Okay.
Do you still think we'll get Iceberg?
No.
Okay.
I think I've learned most about him that I need to know right now.
All right.
I don't know. That's all I got for this week. I don't know if you guys got anything.
Volume on you? What? Do you know what the title of the next volume is called?
Let's do a volume title reveal right now.
Ooh, so exciting!
I'm curious because I read it online, so I don't get to see what the volume titles are called. So I'm just curious to know what it's called.
I haven't actually seen the cover of this volume either.
Maybe you shouldn't.
Well,
How about we just do the title reveal next time?
There's nothing on this volume cover I haven't already seen. It's the Straw Hats and Iceberg and Franky and the Sea Train. The title of the next volume is Tom.
Ooh.
So I don't know. Maybe we will learn a little bit more
No,
about the past.
no, no, no iceberg flashbacks. I mean,
maybe we will have nice. Let's see how many. Oh my god! I just looked at the spine and like half this volume is flashbacks.
Perfect. All right, we're in for a good one next time, guys.
Yes, I get to read it tonight. I'm so excited.
Well, I'll read the one after that one because I've already read that one. All right.
I didn't read it.
Thank you for joining us in Road Poneglyph. Bye-bye.